Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Let me start off by saying this video editing is not for everybody. Jesus, this stuff has been testing my patience for sure. Just a little insight into me. I am not a very patient person, and this video editing stuff has definitely been proving that. I don't know if maybe it's my capability, like the capabilities of my laptop, or it's just video editing in general, but oh my god, these videos take forever to download and upload, and just figuring out how to get audio on certain clips and editing the clips and programs moving slow. My Wi-Fi probably just sucks. Yeah, I'm just starting off with letting out some of my frustrations because I am working on editing videos back to back. I've been editing so far. This is my second editing video, and then I have one more after this that I need to edit, add audio to, get uploaded to YouTube. And it has definitely been a process. I have learned to not procrastinate this stuff and definitely schedule it out better for myself because, man, this has really been testing my patience. Anyway, hello guys. Welcome back to my channel. Sorry about me venting a little bit. And if you hear my cat by any chance, yes, that's one of my cats meowing, trying to get attention. He's wondering what I'm doing. But so, welcome back to my channel, guys. As you can see, I'm here creating another spring slash Easter press-on nail set. This one's gonna be a really cute short coffin set with just some different pastel colors that definitely will remind you of Easter when you see them. And my cat is in my face right now. Oliver, get off of my table. Excuse me. God, they always need to be all up in your attention. Anyway, so today this press on nail set, what did I name this press on nail set? Pastel Pretties. Yes, Pastel Pretties is definitely going for more of an Easter vibe here. Um Anytime you go into the store, you'll see all these kind of pastel colors, the purples, yellows, greens, blues. Um, so I want to do something just super easy, really nice and convenient for people celebrating Easter and things like that. I know there are all kinds of different activities: Easter hunts, church, barbecues, family get-togethers. You don't always have to do something super creative and designed out. I definitely like a mixture of simple, but also having some designed sets and things like that. I've always been artistic, so I like to do a little pizzazz on nails and things like that. I never realized how often I say things like that. Sorry, guys, if I say it way too much. It's like my favorite transition to use, I guess, when I'm talking. But so, the subject of today's spooky time story is going to be the Ouija board. I know a lot of you guys know what Ouija boards are. If you don't know what a Ouija board is, it is so the standard like Ouija board is going to be this piece of not cardboard, this piece of this slab of wood, I guess. Yeah, wood. Essentially it has like the alphabet on it. It has yes or no, it has goodbye. I think, does it have numbers too? I don't know if it has numbers. But anyway, it's a form or a way to communicate with spirits and things like that. See, there we go. I said it again. Um, we're gonna have to make that either a drinking game or like a put a money in a jar game. How many times can Angelica say things like that? Anyway, Ouija boards. If you don't know what a Ouija board is, look it up. But don't, please, Lord, do not use one. They used to sell them in like Walmart and Target and things like that. I remember being younger and seeing them in stores in the toy section because I guess they used to be considered toys. Well, honestly, no, they're not toys. Children, especially, should not be playing with them. But so they used to be sold as toys. Of course, people don't realize kind of what they're getting themselves or their children into. They just think it's some type of game. I guess they just think they're talking to the thin air. But no, there are probably honestly thousands of stories of people playing with the Ouija board and it going very, 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 very wrong, very dark, creates a lot of evil attachments to people. I just caught myself, I almost said, and things like that. Ugh, I am gonna be so annoyed at myself. Anyway, Ouija boards are a way to communicate and talk to spirits. Essentially, it's a way to talk to the other realm, the other, I don't know what people call it really. I mean, there's all kinds of different terms for it. Limbo, the other side, whatever, the veil, I guess. But anyway, it's a board to talk to spirits, and a lot of times it really doesn't go great. You really do tap into a lot of mischievous, evil spirits, demons. Not fun stuff, to be honest. There's a lot of stories of people really, really bringing in bad things to their home and to themselves. Possessions, attachments, you name it. I mean, not only that, there's also so many movies based off of Ouija boards and bad things happening. So I've never messed with the Ouija board. I've had people around me, like friends, use Ouija boards. A little kind of background info for me. I almost used one because when I was around like 11 or 12, my mom passed away. So there was a moment there where I considered using a Ouija board to communicate to her. One of my friends at the time when I was in school, I think this was like around seventh grade, I think so. One of my friends had was using a Ouija board. She created her own. That's the other bad thing about Ouija boards. You honestly don't need the standard Ouija board. You can create one with notebook paper. You just put the alphabet on there, yes or no. You put goodbye, and then you have some type of um planchette. It doesn't have to be the standard typical planchette. You can use anything, a coin, a button, just something that you can channel your energy into. But anyway, she was using one at the time. She was going through her own personal stuff and was using it, and she, offered it to me, but I never ended up using it just because I have never wanted to cross that line. I've never wanted to push that boundary. I've just always kind of known better. I'm not one of those people that pushes the boundary. I'm not really someone that takes a lot of risk, to be honest, especially with something like that. No way am I gonna risk having an evil attachment or having something evil in my own home because I decided to play around with a Ouija board. My home is my peace. The last thing I would want to do is make my home somewhere that I'm terrified to be at, terrified to go to sleep, terrified to be alone. I'm already paranoid as it is when I'm when I'm alone. So any kind of creak and sound, if I can't explain it, oh my god, it's a ghost. No, I'm just kidding. But I used to be super paranoid, watch scary movies, things like that when I'm home alone. My parents are out or whatever, and then I get all scared because something's creaking in the house, which now as an adult I'm like, houses creak, things like that. A lot of times it's nothing to be scared of. But anyway, so let me get to today's story. So today's story I got from redditor positive web 8150. It's gonna revolve, I believe, his sister messing around with a Ouija board. I won't kind of say too much else. I'll get into the story. All right, guys. Positive web 8150 begins their story. I was born in Ecuador and lived there until I was 5 years old. The house I was born in was haunted mainly for the fact that the area where my house and many other houses were built used to be a cemetery. Didn't help that when my second oldest sister was a teenager, she started playing with the Ouija board. She used to go to the houses around our area because most of the houses around were empty and no one lived there. Of course, she didn't want anyone to know what she was doing, so she would always leave at 3 a.m. with our Doberman. Side note away from the story, 3 a.m. is not a good time, especially if she's playing with the Ouija board. 3 a.m. a lot of times, like the number three, units of three, things like that. It's meant for evil spirits and demons and things like that to mock the Holy Trinity. So the fact that she was playing with the Ouija board and leaving around or at 3 a.m. definitely not a good sign. Anyway, back to the story. She would also go next door to my aunt's place because they were always traveling and the house was always empty. But she had a specific place under a lemon tree in my aunt's yard that she would go and play with the Ouija board. My sister opened doors that were meant to stay closed. In all the years that have passed, a lot of things happened to her. A lot of things came into our home and the houses around us. I can talk more about it in another story time. But so, when I was 5 years old, I moved to New York City with my mother, father, and two siblings, and my oldest sibling stayed in Ecuador. The house was abandoned for a couple of years, but when I was 11, I went back to visit my family in Ecuador. My siblings took me to see our old home, and there was no windows. And in case you didn't know, Ecuador is a very hot place, but for some reason, you would go inside that house and it would feel like an AC was on. So when I went to see the house, I was looking around and my siblings locked me in my sister's old room with her in it. They thought it would be funny to scare me. So when I was locked in the room with my sister, who played with the Ouija board, I swear to you, her face changed in front of my eyes. Her face turned into this old lady. And of course, I got so scared and I started crying and screaming for my other siblings to open the door. When they finally took me out, I was so scared that I was pale and I couldn't stop crying. After that day, every time I go to Ecuador, I never stay with that sister. So, the last time I was in Ecuador, I stayed in that house that's right next to my childhood home that belongs to my aunt. But now it's my older sister's home. Every time I would go in that house, you felt like a negative energy. I was not able to sleep alone there. I always needed to sleep with my niece. So the last day I was in Ecuador, I had stayed in that house, and in the afternoon, we were all hanging out in the pool that she has in her backyard, and I felt something touch me, and no one was near me. I decided to keep quiet because I just thought it was something else until my sister said that she felt something touch her in the pool seconds later after. I felt the same thing. I had taken a regular picture of the pool and didn't notice that there was a face in the picture until someone on my social media mentioned it and took a screenshot of it. After I saw what that person was seeing, I was looking at the picture really good and noticed two more forms in the pool, and there was nothing around to make that reflection. Well, that wasn't all that happened the last night I was there. In the nighttime, when I was in bed watching TV with my niece sleeping next to me, I kept feeling something staring at me, and I kept ignoring it until I couldn't anymore and turned to look. As soon as I did, I saw this blackish, grayish, tall, hooded thing disappear in front of my eyes. And that is how they end their story. It definitely sounds like they have a lot more stories to tell. Unfortunately, I don't think it seems like they've posted any of those stories yet so far. I would love to hear more stories about that Redditor's experience. It definitely sounds like a lot happened, especially with that sister messing around with the Ouija board. Who knows how long she was playing with it? She could have continued to play with it into her adulthood. Hence, when he ended up getting locked in the room with her, he saw her face change into that of an old lady, which when I read that, it reminds me of the movie, what is it? The Others. If you know, you know. I think it's like an old 2000s movie. Definitely really good movie, really good twist. But definitely has its sketchy moments for sure. And there's always this one particular scene where this little girl has the face of like this really old woman. So I definitely pictured that. That was not exactly a great thing to picture, but I can just imagine how scared he was. I had an instance in my own childhood when I was, how old was I? I was probably around 13, 14. It's got to be somewhere between 13 and 14. I had my cousins over. We were in my bedroom and I had this strobing light stand that went to this like glass, not a figurine, but it was this glass rectangular like cube thing where you can like, somebody managed to like make a design inside of it and you put it on this light stand and it's like super pretty or whatever. It was also super pretty even with the glass thing off of it. So me and my cousins were in my bedroom and we were kind of laying in a circle. We had the lights off. It was nighttime outside. I think I had my blinds open so there was like some light from the street light outside coming in, but there really wasn't much light besides the little strobe light in the middle of us. And this strobe light changed. I think it only had like three colors. It was like red, blue, and white, but it was like all interchanging together. It wasn't like one after the other. So we're all kind of just chilling on my bed, lights off, not really looking at anything. I don't know if we had music playing or not, but anyway, we're all laying in bed looking at this like pretty light show of this little light in the middle of us. And for some reason, I start looking at my cousin in front of me. And the more I look at her and I'm looking at her face, the longer I'm looking at her, with every light strobe, her face starts to change. Like it starts to look more and more like a skeleton face. Like her eyes are like, again, if you've seen a skeleton face, it's like completely black eyeless area, no nose, just the two like black holes for the nose. It was really, really sketchy. Like I was definitely freaked out. And like, so I was watching her for probably not even longer than a minute. And I just was seeing her face change. And I got so scared that I flipped the light over so that now it was just dark. But I flipped the light over and I like jumped behind my cousin that was on the left hand side of me and was like hiding behind her back. But I jumped behind her and they were like, what's going on? Like, what's wrong? Why'd you flip the light over? Why'd you do that? And it like took me a second to tell them because I don't know. I guess I was kind of just processing it. I'm like, am I tripping? Like, was that just the lights? Was it me? Um, and so like I tell them like I don't know. Like your face was changing. Like it was like looking like a skeleton, like a skull face. And then the crazy part was my cousin that like I was hiding behind, she said she was seeing the same thing. So it just made me even more sketched out because I'm like, it wasn't just me. It wasn't me just tripping. Like she also saw which it was her sister, but like she also saw my cousin's face like changing in the light. It was super sketchy. These are the same two cousins, they're twins that were there to witness my first paranormal experience with my stuffed animal cat if you watched my first video. So we the three of us, we're like the three musketeers. We have a couple of paranormal stories, to be honest. My dad's side of the family specifically, that's my Mexican side of the family, they, I don't know why, to be honest. I never really asked much about it, but even before we were all around and they were our parents were children, um that side of the family has had a lot of paranormal experiences and stories. I have way too many, honestly, that I could tell. Some really crazy ones too. Like apparently in Mexico, my grandpa had this doll that would like move around and would walk around and was in love with him and would try to kill my grandma sometimes. Like really crazy. Like I know it sounds like crazy, but that is straight up a story that one of my tias was telling me when I was younger. So my family has a lot going on when it comes to the paranormal side. So that's why I have so many stories. But anyway, back to the original story. Yeah, the fact that that sister was playing around with the Ouija board, leaving at 3 a.m., her face changed, like that's not all good signs. That definitely sounds like oppression, possession, things like that. That's just what can happen when you mess around with the Ouija board. I mean, it's like I said, it's not a game. It really isn't. Like people do it for hee hee ha ha, like fun and stuff like that. But it really isn't, especially when you tap into something that you have no idea what you're messing around with. It just never ends up good. Um, it's just not a game. And again, I've never wanted to push that boundary. For me, it's like walking on a trail, finding a hole in the ground and sticking your hand in it. You can either come out fine and nothing happened, or you can get bit by a snake or get attacked by something that was living in that hole. That's how I feel about the Ouija board. I'm not somebody that likes to take risks like that, especially if the consequences is going to be way more of an issue than what may be beneficial. There's not really much beneficial things that come out with the Ouija board. Sometimes people get lucky and don't tap into anything and they end up fine, but I want to say 8 or 9 times out of 10 it really 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 turns out bad. Sometimes even people just get a short-term attachment, which great, awesome, short term is better than long term, but that's the thing. Even people sometimes get long-term attachments, and that is something you really don't want to deal with. And with the Ouija board, that is something that people are gonna constantly say, "Oh, it's fake. It's just a game." But there's so many stories out there that they can't all be fake. All it takes is one story to be real, and that changes everything. And I kind of took that line from my favorite podcast, Scared to Death. If you've watched it, you are awesome. I usually watch it on YouTube. They're also on like any type of what is it, like music platform or whatever. But anyway, it's like they say, all it takes is one of these stories being true, and it just changes your whole perception of reality. And once that happens, I mean, there's kind of no going back. Again, I've had my multiple, not even just one, I've had multiple instances of paranormal experiences, and it's definitely very not like earth shattering, but it really changes your perspective of the world and reality, and just kind of, I don't know, how things work. It really makes you question a lot of things. I wouldn't really say it gives me existential, I say that word horribly, existential crisis or whatever. It may give some people, but for me, it's just something that's unknown, and not everything in this world is meant to be known, to be honest. It's just how kind of life is. There's not gonna be an explanation for everything. But I think I am coming to the end of my video, guys, and I'm trying to make sure that I don't cut it too close to the end of my video. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the story time today. Please do not go and play with Ouija boards. It won't be fun. I promise you, it won't be fun. Take heed from my warning of today's story. Do not go play with Ouija boards. Okay, guys, I will see you next time. All right, bye.